In emergency management, the definition of a stakeholder is any person or entity with a vested interest in the survival or recovery of a given community.
This is the Stakeholder Prepping podcast, where the tactical comes from the practical, and today, you become your own stakeholder.
Here are your hosts, Chris and AC.
Welcome back to Stakeholder Prepping, where you, yes, you are the stakeholder in your own survival.
And today, we're going to do something a little different. Although we say that, I think, every single episode, we say we're going to do something a little different because we're just kind of like a prepper squirrel brain podcast anyway, right? But this really is going to be a little different.
Yeah, we really do kind of jump all over the place.
All over the place.
ADHD squirrel.
We haven't had any complaints, though. Like, no one's actually said, I hate the way you guys like tackle every single different topic under the sun. I think people like it.
I think they do. Yeah, we haven't had any real complaints, but
we could do like theme months maybe or something.
We could try it.
But then you just get burnt out, I think. I think you just get burnt out hearing about the same thing over and over. So I kind of like that we take it different directions. And if you do want to hear the same thing, you could probably like pick apart certain, like you don't have to listen to us in order, right? Like it doesn't matter if you listen to us out of order at all.
Yeah, you could build your own theme with our backlog of episodes.
You totally could. So before we do any of this though, Chris, because this is going to be different, but before we do any of this, I want to talk about, we're coming up quick on our 2-year podcast anniversary, which will be episode 104. We've been doing this every single week for 91 weeks, which is crazy to me. I never, ever thought we would do this. When we started this, you had said, yeah, we'll do this every week. And I was like, maybe we start every week and then we'll go to every other week. Cause there's no way like I could commit to doing this every single week. And that was before I knew what the time commitment was. But here we are doing it every single week, which is just nuts to me.
Yeah, every week for 2 years, and episode 104 will be 2 years. And you and I came up with kind of this crazy harebrained idea that we should actually do something for that.
Yeah, a couple ideas on how to give some stuff away because we love giving stuff away for free. But for those that don't know, who've been living under a rock or not listening to us enough, there is our gear store, our merch store, which is stakeholderprepping.store. And we've got a couple of just, fun t-shirts, not just logo t-shirts, but, funny t-shirts that we've come up with or t-shirts that we've gotten input from some listeners on. And we want to do that again for 104 and do maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 like cool t-shirts, right? So Chris, why don't you lay it on them what you would like to see out of a t-shirt design?
Yes. So super exciting news dropping this episode this week for episode 104. You have to pay attention to our Facebook for this because there's going to be a pinned link on our Facebook that will take you to a Google Sheet and you can submit your favorite quote from any episode that you want on that Google Sheet. It could be from episode 2, episode 20, this episode, doesn't matter. Your favorite quote that either AC, myself, or one of our guests has said. Submit your favorite quote. We're going to review them for appropriateness and to make sure that we actually said them.
But, also, that's true. We're going to fact check you too. But also, you can email us, you can Facebook Messenger us, you can get us we answer all that stuff. Chris, you and I, we're so engaged with that. I don't think there's anybody that's reached out to us that we haven't got back to, with one exception. There was an Australian listener, and it wasn't Glenn, that reached out and it went into our spam filter on our Gmail,
which was weird.
It was super weird. Like it wasn't like a bunch of like dollar signs and hashtags in there or anything. Like there was no reason it should have got filtered as spam. And then I wrote him back and we wrote back. He goes, "Oh, I was beginning to think that you guys were liars about that stuff." But anyway, you can find a way to get us a quote. And so what are we going to do with our quotes, Chris?
Yeah, so we're going to filter them for appropriateness and fact check you. And I think the top 2 or 3 depending on how many we get, but I'm thinking with enough listeners, we can probably fit in the top 3. Um, maybe more if we get enough, but probably top 2 or 3. We can do some t-shirts and we will work with you to find out why it was your favorite quote,
Yeah.
and work with you on the design. And your design may end up living forever in the semi-sacred halls of stakeholder prepping
It,
merch.
it, it may become a piece of prepper lore, your quote design t-shirt.
Yeah.
It could be. So anyway, yeah, I think that's an awesome idea. Send them in, send your favorite quotes from the show or your ideas, even a good idea for a shirt that you like. But I like the quote thing. We'll turn that in. We'll get with a graphic designer and we'll turn that 1 or 2 or 3, however many that we think are really good, into shirts. You'll get a free shirt along with some other cool stakeholder prepping swag, and that would be awesome. And the other thing I think I'd like to say about this 104 coming up, Chris, is that I have a lot of gear that I have purchased and that you have purchased that we have actually like done testing with and stuff. Like we don't just recommend gear that we don't own. And so I've got all this stuff here. I would love to send that out to somebody. So I like the questions that we got on episode 52 for our 1-year podcast anniversary, and I'd like to do that again. So, and you can submit for both the T-shirt and just ask a cool question. And I think the best ones, I'd like to send just some gear to, because like I said, I have a lot of this stuff that I've purchased for gear testing for some of our gear episodes, and I'd like to give some of that away. I have Jesus candles and 1-pound bags of beans still, and all kinds of weird stuff from our dollar preps. You wanted to do the dollar magnifying glass for starting a fire. I had to go buy one to see if it worked. So, and it does work. So I'd like to give some of that stuff away as well. And I
I
like
still have the $1.75 reader glasses that
Oh
we got.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the stakeholder prepping tac nav cards. Like, we have a lot of cool stuff to give away. So we'd like to bring you in and have some engagement for episode 104. So favorite quotes, you'll get a free t-shirt if it's awesome. Also, any reviews. So between now and then, if you could go to iTunes, just because I think it's really the only great place to leave a review, but go to iTunes, leave us a review, screenshot that and send it to us. And we'd like to read those on episode 104. And again, I think those ones will give some free fun gear to, because this is exciting for us, right? Like if you look at the amount of podcasts that make it 2 years, and we're 13 weeks out, so we might not make it anyway, but I'm just saying that think about that there's not a lot. You're well below the 1% of podcasts that make it 2 years. It's crazy.
Yeah. When we hit our 1 year and 1 week mark, we made the top 1% of all podcasts.
Isn't that crazy? Like people
It's
just
really weird.
you just kind of fail, not fail, but I mean, you just run out of things to talk about, or logistics are tough, or you don't realize what kind of commitment, or you just don't get a following. You don't get interactive listeners like we enjoy, and you just kind of give up, I think. But 2 years it's a long run, especially for every week for like any podcast.
It is. And it does kind of feel good to see that our community is so engaged and so ready to provide feedback and help us improve, because that helps
Right.
everybody improve. Like you said several times, a rising tide lifts all ships, right?
Yeah, and I love that people do really interact with us and give us feedback, good feedback. I mean, constructive criticism sometimes, but good feedback. And it's stuff that we oftentimes will work into another episode. So I really do appreciate how interactive everybody's been. And I think, and that's without free stuff. So I think with the free stuff, get yourself a cool free t-shirt. And it'll, live in prepper infamy for forever on the stakeholderprepping.store. And then obviously some questions. We would love questions for 104. Anybody that's got questions for us, it would be great to answer those on that show. So that would be awesome. We're looking forward to it. I think we'll talk about that more between now and then, and we'll do some announcement stuff on our Facebook page as well. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be a really, really cool episode. So Chris, what are we going to talk about today? Because we did say we're going to do something a little different. What is different?
Yeah, I'm liking the positivity starting out this episode. And lately, we have just been coming off pretty heavy topics, right? It's been a really, really weighty run.
Yep.
We've
Yep.
talked about medical threats and mistakes that will get you killed and pace modeling. While fun, it's still kind of tedious. And then last week we talked about CBRN threats with George, which was awesome, and you can still get that mirror safety discount. It's kind of heavy on the mind, right? So I think we need to change direction a little bit.
Right. So instead of telling you everything that can go wrong, today we're going to show you how to get better and how to do better and how to do it quickly.
Yeah. So this episode is going to be pretty simple. If we gave you 48 hours, basically one weekend, how much more capable could you actually become?
Yeah. And dude, the answer is a lot more capable than you think. It's crazy. And it made me think about when I was reading the outline you'd put together for this one, it made me think about I fly United Airlines, okay? And I know a lot of people probably don't like them, but once you've had like your butt in a seat for 2.5 million miles, you're kind of married to them. And they do this uh in their magazine, they do this thing where it's uh like 3 perfect days is the name of the article. It's every month they do like a 3 perfect days, and it's basically any city that they go to, they say, hey, if you had 3 days in Lisbon, Portugal, here's what to do with those 72 hours. And I really like the article. It's very cool because that's a very fast paced American way to travel, right? Like no one else on the
Oh, yeah.
planet is like, hey, let's do London in 3 days. But that's a very American thing to do. It's like, okay, I'm going to be in this city. Let's go knock out all the cool stuff. And they do this really cool, concise article about that. And looking at your outline, it made me think about that, okay, if I had these 2 days to myself to learn something, what could I learn? And actually, you can learn a lot of this stuff. A lot of the stuff I have learned personally, and I could easily have learned that in a weekend. But yeah, this is pretty awesome. So, yeah, how are we gonna break this down?
See, when I was writing this outline, I was thinking all the way back to like my elementary and middle school days going on camporees, like for Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, doing the Friday night you leave, you spend all day Saturday and then half a day Sunday, and then you come back on Sunday night and go back to school the next day.
And you've made a Folgers coffee can into a hobo stove.
Oh, yeah. Or a cardboard box into a pizza oven.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you go out and you just learn some skills. And I think that any of this stuff, this isn't like a 48-hour head down crash course. I think this is just kind of leisurely, don't doom scroll on the gram for 48 hours and you could learn a cool new skill.
yeah. This is all stuff that's literally just get off the couch, stretch your
Yeah.
legs, get out of the house for a little bit, go get some sun, and learn something while you're at it.
Half of this you could do on the couch, I think.
More than half,
Yeah.
if we're being honest, more than half.
You
But
totally could.
get a tan while you're at it. We're already
Mhm.
pasty enough sitting in a podcast studio.
That's true. Good
For
idea.
as long as these takes are record.
Yep.
So we are breaking down prepper skills that you can realistically learn in a weekend with real world relevance, data backed importance, step by step timelines, and where you can actually go to learn these things and learn this stuff. It's not difficult. It just takes a weekend of time commitment, and you can do it with the whole family in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and this isn't like fantasy training arcs or 6-month certifications. This is just kind of high return on investment capability. It's pretty simple stuff, but I think it's things people don't think about. They don't. It's just kind of out of sight, out of mind. So let's put those in front of people.
Yeah, you start Saturday morning and you are measurably harder to kill by Sunday night.
I like that. You're measurably harder to kill. That yeah. Hey, that might be the tagline for my t-shirt submittal.
All right, there's one in the bucket.
So,
So,
what's number one?
Let's start with basic trauma response, which a lot of people know as stop the bleed, right? This
Mhm.
is your immediate trauma stop the bleed course. So if you learn nothing else this weekend, learn this. Uncontrolled bleeding is the leading cause of preventable death in trauma, according to the American College of Surgeons and the Stop the Bleed initiative. You're not talking about hours, you're talking minutes, 3 to 5 in a lot of cases. Okay. And here's the reality scenario: car accident, kitchen accident, job site injury, something goes wrong, someone is bleeding heavily. EMS is not there yet, but you are. And I have seen these happen not in combat. I have had these happen not in combat.
Well, yeah, me too. 100%. It happens. If you live long enough and have enough clumsy friends, this will happen to you.
Yeah, I've seen a nail gun uh, back when I was working construction before I joined the army as a 17-year-old. I've seen a nail gun miss a stud and go clean through 5/8 plywood and hit the guy in the femoral on the other side of the wall. It
Yikes.
happens.
Yep.
Well, guess we're applying a tourniquet. Well, we don't have tourniquet materials. Oh, then we're going for the bandana and a piece of rebar for the stick.
Yep. Yeah, and you
It
don't know
happens.
how to apply a tourniquet, right? If you don't know how, then there is a right way and a wrong way to apply a tourniquet.
There is. And most people freeze. And it's not because they don't care, it's because they don't know what to do. It breaks their OODA loop. Again, we're referring to a previous episode. It's that fight, flight, or freeze. We talked about this when we were talking about escaping an airplane. So much information is coming in at so rapid a pace, you don't know what to do with it. So you freeze, and until you can process all of it, you're just a roadblock. So that's what this is dealing with, is trying to get you familiarized with what to do in an emergency situation. That is the first major obstacle for a lot of people. So here's your timeline, your weekend plan, if you will. Saturday morning, 2 to 3 hours. Watch a certified stop the bleed training video or attend a local class. They happen all the time. It could be at a YMCA, your local church, local school, whether it's high school, elementary, or middle school. It could be at a local college. It could be just about anywhere. Sometimes they'll have them at local libraries, and they
I was
are,
gonna say, I've seen with the library and the like the volunteer fire departments do them a lot.
yep, they're all over the place. You just have to find one that is being hosted. Sometimes they are paid, most of the time they are free. Saturday afternoon, after that 2 to 3 hour course, hands on practice, tourniquet application, pressure bandaging, and I would highly encourage doing this on yourself as well, so you know what a tourniquet feels like going on. It's not comfortable, uh, but if you're the one injured and you have to self apply, it's good to know when that pressure is stopping the bleeding.
And write the time on it. Don't just like tourniquet your leg and then go play Call of Duty for 2 hours.
Yeah,
You need to remember.
that's probably not a great idea. Set an alarm.
Yeah, set an alarm.
And then Sunday, just for an hour, run drills under mild stress, uh, timed application, low light. Go up into the attic where it's hot and
Yeah.
don't have the lights on and try to put a tourniquet on yourself.
Get your hands wet first.
Yeah, that's perfect. Go
Yeah.
into the upstairs bathroom, get your hands wet, then go into the unlit attic and try to apply a tourniquet to yourself.
Right? Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just not the same as is on a dummy in a well-lit YMCA gymnasium.
Exactly. Where you can practice, you can do this on the living room floor, the garage, the local community center classes, the backyard. If you really want a challenge, um, get a partner who is willing to participate and have them kick and scream in the back of a car and try to do it in your driveway. The resources you need a tourniquet, ideally a cat or a soft TW, which is SOFTT TAC W. Those are the approved tourniquets. So make sure you know what you're dealing with, get familiar with it. And then a gauze, pressure bandage, and the training videos. Stop the Bleed has an official site you can go to, and you can stop and pause. If you're not sure what you're doing, stop, pause, rewind. Just try not to have the tourniquet applied with tension when you stop and pause and rewind.
And we'll post the links to all this stuff, right? Like which tourniquets to use, and the stopthebleed.org. We'll put that in our blog for this episode, so you can find everything we talk about here. We'll post all that in the weekly blog.
Yeah, and you just mentioned it. Where to find help? Stopthebleed.org. Local fire departments, they host classes all the time. Usually they'll have a schedule. And then Red Cross training centers, if there's not one near you, a lot of the time they have rotations that they'll set up at local libraries, schools, churches, things like that. So, um, you know, just make sure that you're getting the training that you need from a reputable source and that you're willing to apply and practice.
Yeah, and here's the uncomfortable truth. If your entire medical plan is to call 911, you don't have a plan. You have hope, and hope is not a plan. And I actually got that engraved on my Benchmade bushcraft knife. It says hope is not a plan. I got that
hope is
engraved. Hope is not a plan.
hope is a strategy, but I
Yeah.
like that you got it engraved.
Hope is not a tactic. Hope is not a strategy. So yeah, that's a great 48-hour skill to learn. Number two, water purification, like actual hands-on water purification. And water is so important. Everybody stores it. If you're listening, you probably store it. But few people actually practice processing it. And I was just looking at I've got a stack of water bricks, right? And water bricks are awesome. They're expensive for what they are, but they're pretty useful. And I kind of thought like like the single guy in college that makes the couch out of the old pizza boxes. And I thought water bricks are kind of like that, right? It's like the
Mhm.
the single prepper can make the couch out of the water bricks. They're a good thing to have, but few people actually process water for water purification. And the CDC and the EPA both warn that untreated water can carry pathogens like Giardia or E. coli, cryptosporidium, I think is one. Is that right?
Yeah, Cryptosporidium. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
one.
gnarly
Yeah,
one.
yeah. And so none of these care how expensive your gear is. That's just a fact. So, you know, here's a scenario for you. You don't have to live out in the middle of nowhere. This doesn't have to be the apocalypse. You could be anywhere that has a boil advisory. Maybe there's storm damage to your plumbing. Maybe you're in a hiking situation and you need water, but the water just plain out isn't safe. So this is something you can learn very quickly, right? You can Saturday morning take an hour, learn the methods, the filter, the boil, the chemical treating, and I think that's the toughest one because if you don't already know the 4 drops of clean, unscented, newer, unexpired bleach per gallon, or whatever it is, 16 drops for the super cloudy stuff. I mean, there's a bunch of different methods to add that sodium hypochlorite to water, but you need to know how to do that. And then there's other uh, water treatment chemicals that have their own, dosage, and you need to know that. And so testing that and then drinking it, seeing how it tastes. And you can spend a couple hours on Saturday, practice filtering, practice boiling water outdoors. Uh, you'll find that at higher altitudes, the water will boil quicker, right? Because it's boiling at lower temperatures. Depending on your altitude, if it's not a high enough temperature to kill everything, you may have to rely on another method. But test multiple methods kind of side by side. Take an hour out of your Sunday and do that. And you can practice this anywhere. You can do this in the backyard. You can do this at the local park. You can do this in a campsite. And it's funny because I don't know if I've ever had like a boil water order. I mean, when I was a kid, probably, and I just don't remember. But have
We
you? Do you?
have
Yeah,
a bunch of times, yeah.
really?
Anytime the
Even where?
water pressure drops to a certain point, that's when they go into effect. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And so if you look, like, there's a lot of really good data on the CDC's website, and they actually throw you like the hat trick at it. They say boil, then disinfect, then filter. If you're gonna have nasty water that you're gonna have to consume. So there's a way to do that. But what are the resources you'll need for this? Well, the water filter, like like the Sawyer, the Life Straw. I really like the membranes solution. And think about this: if your plan was to have a Life Straw, then how exactly are you going to like cook food for your family? You're going to like suck a mouthful through a Life Straw and spit it in a pot. If you didn't think about that going in, it's going to be a pretty gross dinner for the kids. So you have to think about
That's
that,
yeah, that's
right?
some pretty gnarly mac and cheese, Ma.
Think about people that are just like, oh yeah, I'm good. I bought a Life Straw. I've never taken it out of the package. I know how to filter water, but it's going to be hard to get water for bathing through any kind of suck through solution, Life Straw type thing. And that's why I do like the membrane solution, because they come with that water bottle attachment, so you can kind of squeeze a water bottle through it. But if you don't have that kind of attachment for your Life Straw like thing, and I'm using Life Straw in the generic sense because it could be a Sawyer or it could be a membrane solution, but in that Life Straw, if you just have one, you're like, yeah, I'm good, I can filter stuff out, and you don't realize that, oh man, I was just relying on me sucking mouthfuls of water. There's a whole lot of stuff you can't do with that water.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So, so there's just a lot of things to learn. This is why you need to do this. You need a pot for boiling. This is easy. Get some water purification tablets. Get the sodium hypochlorite, which is just the bleach or the pool shock. And there's one they sell. I see it at the like the Camping World, and I think they call it like water taste saver or some crap like that. But it's a water conditioner, I think is what they call it. But really all it is it's extremely diluted sodium hypochlorite. It's just bleach in this very diluted amount that you pay way more for. So if you don't know how to do this on your own, you end up paying a lot more for this, because they sell it just kind of take the plastic taste out of RV uh, camping water. Your big freshwater tank in the RV
Interesting.
eventually will leach, and it'll taste a little plasticky. And so they sell this like water taste stuff, and you look at the ingredients for it, and it's pretty expensive for a bottle, and all it is just diluted bleach. And like bleach, it goes bad, so you need to know when bleach is going to go bad. So there's a lot of stuff to know. It's very easy to figure this out, and it's very easy to practice that prep and learn how to actually process water in a weekend. And then you're going to want to reintroduce those micronutrients. There's the electrolytes like Element that I really like. There's a kind of an off-brand element called Venture Pal, which is actually the one I buy because it's the exact same ingredients. And then, where do you find this stuff? Obviously, CDC, there's some great guidelines on the CDC website. And then you can find a lot of classes, places like REI do cool classes, or outdoor groups do some cool classes. And one of the ones you see a lot is how to process and filter water and make it safe on the trail. So there's a lot of different ways to do that.
Yeah. And this is where people kind of mess up. They assume that clear water is clean water. And
Oh, it's not, and that's how you end up with a problem that starts as an inconvenience and ends with you dying of something in the, Oregon Trail video game. And I'll tell you personally, right by me there is a public spring, like shooting out of the water little spring on the side of the road, and all these hippies come out from the big cities with their water jugs because they want this fresh natural spring water. And a couple years ago, one of my neighbors bought a little test kit and tested it, and there was like a ton of E. coli in this natural spring. And it's just funny because none of the people that live around here, we're all in wells. We're drinking that same water that comes out. But that natural spring that's cranking out of the rock. And, every Saturday there's a line of Subarus pulled up to it with a bunch of these 5-gallon jugs taking this natural spring water. And yeah, one of my neighbors tested it and there was a decent amount, like not enough to make you sick, but it was a measurable amount of E. coli coming out of this natural spring. So just because it's clear water does not mean that it is safe water.
Yeah, and not to mention all of the road runoff, all of the fertilizer runoff, everything else that
Sure.
could be in there. You could be drinking 90% motor oil and it could still run clear. Have you ever drained an oil pan out of a Subaru?
Right. Right. All right. So what's number 3, Chris? What's our third thing we could learn in any given weekend?
So, any given weekend, you can always learn and improve your real world fire starting skills. So, fire is one of those skills that people think they have because they own a lighter. And that's like saying you're a mechanic because you own a wrench.
Right. You're saying that you're a chef because you own a microwave.
Exactly. So, a real scenario would be uh, cold environment, wet conditions, low light. Fire isn't a convenience, it is survival. So if you really want to challenge yourself on this, or even if you're a beginner, pick your time frame. This could be Saturday, 2 to 3 hours. Practice multiple ignition methods. Get our TacNav card kit. It comes with a Fresnel lens and a card that you can practice on to start fires with the Fresnel lens. You can
Yeah.
use
Or beeswax dipped Tinder cards.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you can use our beeswax dipped Tinder cards, and you can use that Fresnel lens. You can get yourself a bundle pack. You can use note cards, whatever you need to, but practice multiple ignition methods. Even better if you're doing this in late fall to early spring when there's snow on the ground and that sun is still really low on the horizon. So you really have to be precise with that Fresnel lens or magnifying glass. Saturday evening, try it even more challenging task and do it with low light fire starting. Sunday morning, wet condition practice. Let the dew set into your tinder and your kindling and your wood and then try to get
Yeah.
it started, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I've absolutely been there. Anytime you go camping, it's fire is humbling, man. You realize how humbling fire truly is. Like when you
it'll
need it, it's tough.
it will kick you in the pants right where the crotch gusset is,
Yeah.
and it's not forgiving. Where you can practice this in a backyard fire pit. If you don't have a backyard fire pit, maybe it's at a campsite or a designated outdoor area. If you don't have either of those, you can leave your kindling, your tinder, your fuel, everything outside on the front porch. Odds are that nobody is going to steal it because it's not an Amazon package.
Yeah. Don't put your Tinder in an Amazon package. Be gone.
Yeah, then it's gone. It's
Then
a
it's gone.
write-off, but
Yep.
leave it outside uncovered on the porch overnight and then bring it inside and try to do it in your fireplace or try to do it on the sidewalk in front of your house. And when your neighbors walk by, be like, "I'm trying to learn some skills so that I can out survive you and take all of your shit when you're gone." Resources needed. You're going to need a lighter, a ferro rod, and something to spark it. Tinder, dry, improvised, whatever you can come up with. A cotton ball soaked in Vaseline is a great one. Vaseline and sawdust mixed into a paste and put into a hollowed out or flushed out toothpaste
Toothpaste
tube.
tube. Yeah, that's one I've seen. It's funny because I have a little, I want to say it's maybe 2 or 3 times the size of an Altoid tin. It's a little tin. It says fire on the outside. And it's like my fire kit when I go backpacking. And there's 1,000 different things in there, right? There's magnesium shavings. There's a Bic lighter. There's some fat wood I made myself. There's obviously the Stakeholder Prepping Tinder card. There's all kinds of stuff in there. And 90% of the time, it's just the Bic lighter. But man, that 10% of the time when the Bic lighter won't get it done and you are cold and wet, you're so glad you know all those other ways to start a fire. And we actually did an episode on this. You could go listen to our fire episode. Not one of my favorite, kind of a boring episode. But if you're in the mood to learn how to start a fire, you could use that as a companion. You could simply listen to that episode and say, okay, I'm going to learn those different methods. Chris talked about the fire plow and the fire bow drill and things like that. You could use that as a companion to learn all these different ways to go start a fire this weekend.
See, and similar Altoid tin, I got the bright hunter orange duct tape and then made a little stencil and spray painted the little black fire symbol on the duct tape. Um,
Oh, that's cool. I like that. That's now if you use the Gorilla Black duct tape, that's actually very flammable too. Super flammable.
it's
Great tinder.
it is Gorilla, but it is the hunter orange version. So
Oh, I bet it's the same amount of flammability.
it was about double the price
Yeah.
though.
Right. Yep.
um, but using dryer lint and the vacuum sealer,
Sure.
that's going to
That's a
stay
great one.
dry forever until I need it.
Great one too. Yeah, Dryerlint's a great one too.
But yeah, you can find help on how to do this using just about any outdoor survival channel on YouTube. You can listen to our fire starting episode if you go into our backlog. Local bushcraft groups, you can just find a local group if you are looking to do this. You can, if you are really, really curious, you can find a local scouting group and just see what they are all about. If you want to potentially expand your knowledge and go into a scouting leadership position, you will learn a lot of skills very quickly over several weekends. But that's a more concentrated time
Sure.
commitment. Yeah.
Yeah. So man, if your fire plan falls apart when it rains, then you actually don't have a fire plan. Again, you have hope. And hope is not a plan. Hope is not a tactic. Um, so yeah, that's a good one. Learning all the different ways to start a fire because a lot of people I think just lean on the Bic lighter. I'll just use the Bic. And 90% of the time you're good to go. But sometimes you're not. And if you're out where it is cold and wet, you want to know all the different ways that you can make fire, heat your food, heat yourself, boil your water so you don't get giardia and all that kind of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so
That one was not in Oregon Trail, but
no, it was dysentery, right?
it was
It was
dysentery.
dysentery. It was dysentery you died of,
But congratulations, you died because you could not start a fire.
right? You died because you couldn't start a fire. I'm gonna go with another great weekend skill is land navigation, and this is just so valuable. I mean, GPS is great until it's not. And I will tell you, batteries die, the signals fail, and suddenly you're standing in the woods spinning a circle like a confused Roomba. But
That might be the most accurate description of modern navigation failure I've ever heard.
but also, I mean, okay, basic land navigation, it's not hard, but it is a skill. And I'll tell you, I download offline maps onto my cell phone when I go backpacking. And even at that, there is some dead reckoning skill you have to learn because, that compass in your cell phone, it gets off all the time. And really trying to look at a map and figure out if I can get from here to there, even if it is on your cell phone and it's helping you orient yourself, it's still not foolproof. You need to know how topo lines work and things like that. So yeah, this is a skill. And so on a Saturday morning, you can take a couple hours and you can learn basic map orientation and compass basics. And Chris did a couple of very good videos on our YouTube channel of his land navigation stuff, and it's pretty good. Like in 8 minutes, I learned so much just from watching you do that with a compass and a protractor. So yeah, go watch our YouTube video. But there's 1,000 videos out there that you can learn from, and then on a Sunday for a couple hours, go practice it. Go practice a short navigation course, and you can do this at a local park. You can do these obviously on hiking trails is a great way to do it, and you don't need a lot. Get yourself a compass. There's a bunch of different kinds of compasses, but it's very cool to learn how to actually use a compass to do dead reckoning and actual land navigation. It is a skill. Get yourself a printed map. Go to MyTopo. You can use our link and go to MyTopo and get custom maps for wherever it is you want to be. I have a bunch of them for the normal places that I find myself, and I love MyTopo. Uh, and then a map scale tool. So you can lots of times the compass has one of these. Our TacNav card has a compass scale. 1 millimeter scale is really good. Millimeter scale translates pretty well to a lot of the common map scales. But you can find help at a lot of these clubs that do like basic land nav, the outdoor stores like REI, they do a lot of these kinds of courses. And then geocache groups is another one because I've noticed that the really advanced level geocache stuff, if you haven't done it, it is kind of fun, but it's not just go to these coordinates and find an ammo can that's got a Gumby in it. It's go to these coordinates and then there's a bunch of other instructions and you actually have to know basic land nav to do it. So I think geocaching is a great way to learn basic land navigation.
It is. And so is a frisbee golf course. If you're just getting started,
Ooh. Yeah.
yeah, you can basically go to a frisbee golf course and just follow the course and make your own land nav map based off of that and take your bearings and figure out how to do land nav based on known points. That's a really good way to learn.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, and I noticed you said frisbee golf because no one's there. If you said real golf, there'd be people there all the time. But no one's at the frolf course.
We always took the second lieutenants to the frisbee golf course because the odds of getting hit and having a concussion were less.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's harder to hurt yourself at a frolf course. I like that. But yeah, so dude, learning basic land navigation is such an important skill, and having a map, and then once you get the map, learning. There's map symbols. I guarantee you there's map symbols that you don't know what they mean. And then there's the magnetic declination that you need to understand. There's just a lot of things. It's not just as simple as opening up the map and saying, I'm here and I need to go here. And I think that's the mistake a lot of people make is they're just like, yeah, I can read a map. It's not, it's pretty intuitive and I'm not stupid. And both those things are true. But there's just a lot that goes into it if you're going to try to navigate a trail with a compass and you can't see the sun all the time and you're down, in the forest. It's a learned skill and it's something you could learn in a couple hours. And like I said, I'd start with Chris's video on our YouTube channel because it was just very, very intuitive. I learned a lot just from watching the whatever 4 or 5 or 8 minutes that you gave your little spiel on. It was good.
I appreciate that. I actually did do my best on that. But night, if you want to learn night nav, we're gonna have a totally different conversation. So,
Sure. Yep.
um,
Yep.
and actually, my wife and I were looking at buying land this past week, and she pulled up a piece of land and she looks at the map and she goes, "That's a cliff. That's really steep, isn't it?" And I just kind of looked over her shoulder and I was like, "Yeah, we don't want that." And
Because you
she
could
goes,
see topo lines or something. Is that what it was?
she was looking at the topo lines and she's
Oh
like,
yeah.
half of that property is higher than the other
Sure.
half of that property. I was like,
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah.
Just knowing how to read topo lines, how much money and time in gas did you save yourself? Because you might have
Uh,
gone and looked at that thing,
a lot, yeah, and
right?
it was a great property other
Sure.
than half of it was, significantly higher than
Right.
the I don't
Of course.
I don't know if it was 300 or 1,500. It was a significant dip. It wasn't even worth looking at because those topo lines were so crunched close together.
Yep.
But she immediately recognized it and was like, "Yeah, we don't want that."
Right.
So,
Okay. What's number 5?
number 5 is actually pretty close to my heart. It is emergency knots, rescue and utility knots. So, this is one that gets overlooked pretty constantly. But knots are one of the simplest, highest return on investment skills that you can learn.
Yeah, and one of the fastest ways to look like you know what you're doing or to absolutely not look like you know what you're doing, and I'll tell you, knots is one of those things that I am not good at all. I've got, every my world is a half hitch. It's like I've got I've got the one there's like the one knot and I do everything. So, knots is something that I absolutely would like to get better at. But yeah, you could do that in a weekend.
You don't know the sheep's head hitch or the miller's knot or anything like that to
Right. The half clevis bullseye turnkey knot hitch. No, I don't know any of those.
So let's talk scenarios where these can help you. Securing a load, building a shelter, assisting someone in a rescue situation. They are hanging on for dear life off of a steep embankment and it's raining. But here's your timeline. Saturday, 1 to 2 hours. You learn 4 to 5 core knots, something like the bowline hitch, the taut line hitch, the square knot, the clove hitch. Just spend your time, go through YouTube, practice over and over and over. And I hate to say it, but yes, you are going to look like the BTK killer sitting on your couch.
And
Just
I would ask Chris, for learning, there is worse and better line to use. I'm using nautical terms. I'm calling rope line, but you know what I mean, right? Because certain coatings make it harder to do and undo. So if you're trying to learn, you probably want probably not just a basic nylon rope. There's probably some kind of rope that's way better to learn on.
right. Good lines to learn on are actually 550,
Oh yeah, sure.
climbing rope,
I was going to say climbing
and
rope. The dynamic climbing rope is the one that's great because it's easy to get undone.
not dynamic. You actually want static climbing
You
rope.
you like the static rope better for
S-
the knot stuff?
Static for knots, if you are learning, because dynamic has too much stretch in it and you can over tighten your knots and make them harder to get out.
Oh, sure.
Static, because it doesn't stretch, it doesn't tighten in on itself. If you are learning the knots, you want to be able to undo it.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so there's definitely better line to learn on.
Yes. I would stay away from that triple bound plastic rope that you can get at Walmart, the fishing
Exactly.
line, long uh, trout line stuff or
Yeah.
drag line.
Yep.
Stay away from that marine junk they sell at Walmart. If you are going to go with marine rope, it needs to be your basic triple strand hemp rope, the half-inch stuff. Um, so yeah, I would stay with your basic half-inch, either hemp or static line climbing rope, or if you're very, very basic learning, stick to 550 because it's very easy to learn on and relatively cheap if you do screw it up that bad. You can just cut off a section and retry. Um, but yeah, Saturday, sit on the couch for 1 to 2 hours watching YouTube, back it up, play, back it up, play. Learn 4 to 5 core knots. And then Sunday, for an hour, just practice tying line under time or distraction. Tie it around the tree over and over and over while the kids are playing in the backyard or while you're trying to listen to music or trying to listen to math problems or something like that. So you have something else going on in your brain. Like I said, core knots to learn. Bow line, that is your rescue loop. Taut line hitch, that's your adjustable tension line. So uh, that's your securing a load line. Square knot, that's not going anywhere. Clove hitch, that is a great one for securing loads to a static point. I really like the taut line hitch, and I really, really like the figure eight, especially on a bite. That's one of my favorites. I use it all the time. And then to shorten a line, sheep's head hitch. I don't know why I like that one so much, but maybe it's just got a cool name to me. Um, but where to practice, this is one that you can definitely do on the couch. This could be living room, backyard, basement, garage, uh, on your kids if they don't care. I
They'll
probably
be
not the
telling that
best
to a
idea.
counselor in 30 years. Yeah.
Probably not the best idea. Resources, you need the rope and you need access to YouTube. If you don't know how to do this, there are thousands of channels on YouTube that will show you how to do this. And where to find help, there is an animated knots website that's pretty reliable. The Scouting USA website has some pretty good resources on there, and then YouTube tutorials.
Right. And yeah, if your knot turns into something that looks like a bowl of spaghetti, then that's not really load bearing confidence. But there's so many useful knots out there. I've actually winched a car out of a ditch using nothing more than climbing rope. And you just make a bunch of hitches and you just kind of go back and forth, and you can double and triple and quadruple up that line and increase your pulling and load bearing capability on that line, and you can use it as a winch. You can hoist anything. You basically turn the rope into a simple block and tackle.
which is not what it was really intended for, but
Not what it's
it
made to do.
works.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So yeah, I really there's so many great knots to learn out there.
So what do you got for 6?
Okay, skill number 6 here, and this is one of those things. It's situational awareness. It is a learned skill. This is one of those things that you can start improving on immediately. Situational awareness is basically the ability to read your environment and identify potential threats before they become a problem.
And according to multiple law enforcement studies, most violent encounters are over in seconds, and they are oftentimes avoidable entirely.
Right, just by knowing how to not get yourself in a certain situation. So the timeline for this is all weekend. Practice wherever you go. Stores, parking lots, public places. And there's there's a lot you can do here. Identifying exits. Whenever you walk in a room, identify the exits. This is something I know you do this, Chris. I do this too, but you walk in a room, you identify the exits and noting unusual behavior. And then the the level up skill, the 201 skill here is tracking those around you, remembering those people that you saw and remembering if you see them again.
Yeah, and most people kind of move through the world like they're the main character in a movie, and they're completely unaware of what's going on around them.
Right, and in real life, that character usually gets written out pretty early. So, yeah, you wanna go back and listen to our Gray Man episode. We talked a lot about situational awareness in that episode because I talked to a lot of behavioralists about that episode, and I did a couple of interviews. So go back and listen to the Gray Man episode and practice those skills. But yeah, there's a lot of that situational awareness it's a learned skill and it is very easy to learn.
It really, really is. You just have to put your mind to it. So let's jump into number 7. I know we're going to go a little long on this episode, but we were really, really excited about
Yeah,
our.
these are cool things to learn. I mean, we're giving you a handful of weekends to learn all kinds of very cool skills. So, yeah, you're right. We'll
Yes.
go a little long, but that's fine.
Let's talk about number 7, which is vehicle emergency readiness, right? And honestly, this was kind of a trippy statistic when I looked it up. About 6 million car accidents happen every year in the US, according to the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration.
You could just say NHTSA. NHTSA is such a cool acronym.
It is. NHTSA.
NHTSA. NHTSA.
Who do you work for? NHTSA.
NHTSA.
This is one of the most likely emergencies you will ever face, right? So, how do you prep for this? How do you make yourself in a weekend more prepared for this? Well, Saturday, spend 2 to 3 hours on your car, learn how to do a tire change and a jump start. And don't get the wires crossed. So many people do that.
Yeah, and oftentimes you don't wanna put the, negative lead on the negative terminal of the battery as well, right? I think they do that because of sparking and arcing and stuff, but most vehicles have a jump point, meaning that you hook the jumper cables up to the positive lead on the battery and then not to the negative lead. There's like another spot that's like the good ground and it's a little further away. So lots of people just don't know that. They open the car up and they're like, "Yeah, I'll just I don't know, put 2 wires here."
Yeah, a lot of newer cars do. The older cars, it was just, it's good. I'll connect it to the frame.
Yeah, right, the
But
frame, yeah, exactly, yep.
but a lot of newer cars, they have a specific jump point, and most people don't know it. But read the owner's manual.
Oh, man. Yeah, who
Holy
does that?
crap.
Who does that? Every once in a while, I gotta pull the owner's manual out for my truck. I'm like, "Holy crap, I didn't know all this stuff was in there."
And if your vehicle did not come with a physical owner's manual, guess what? It's a digital owner's manual in your touchscreen. Read the owner's
Right.
manual. Learn how to do a tire change on your own car. Learn how to jumpstart your own car. Then Sunday, spend an hour and either build or refine your own vehicle recovery kit. And where to practice this is in your own driveway, in your own garage. We are not asking you to learn how to change your own oil. Go to Jiffy Lube, go to the dealership, have people that are paid to do that for you if you don't know how. That's not what we're asking for. Just learn how to change your own tires so you're not a danger to yourself and others on the road. You need a jack, jumper cables, an emergency kit. Most of these things are actually included with your car when you purchase it. If it is a used car that you purchase from somebody else, it may not be there. You may have to go and get another one from Harbor Freight, from Walmart. You may have to purchase one on Amazon. Don't skimp out on the cheap ones. Get something that's going to work reliably.
And I will say that something else to throw in there for vehicle readiness, your insurance policy. Know what that covers. So many people have no idea. Is towing included in your policy? Like, is the rental car included if something happens? People just have no idea. And it's such an important part of that vehicle emergency readiness. And it's so incredibly boring that no one wants to know what's in there. But it really is something that is going to save you a whole lot of headache if you know going into it, hey, here's what's going to happen. If I get in an accident today, I know that I know I can call a tow if I call this number and it costs me nothing. And I know that I'm going to get a rental car if I go to this agency and it costs me nothing because it's in my policy. Know that stuff, or sorting it out later is just going to suck. If you're thinking, I'll just figure it out on the side of the road, unfortunately, you won't.
Yeah, it's too easy. So, what do you have for number 8?
So, I want to talk a little bit about home emergency setup. This is something that you can do pretty easily in a weekend. For most emergencies, because most emergencies actually happen at home. Um, the NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association, reports hundreds of thousands of house fires annually, and many of them happen at night. That's very common. That's the emergency that's probably going to happen at your house. And so here's what you can do. Saturday, take a couple hours, build your fire escape plan for you, for the whole family, for the pets, and then spend a couple hours on Sunday setting up lighting, know where your supplies are, know how to go out those routes, and you could actually war game this out. You could do a couple scenarios with the family. And this is something I think we didn't actually mention, Chris, is that every one of these is something you can do with the whole family. Every one of these is something you can include the children in. If you're looking for something to do on a Saturday with the kids, you can teach them a lot of these skills safely, and you can make it fun. And this is one of those things that you can have these walkthrough drills in your house with the entire family. You can make it interactive, you can make it exciting. But yeah, really the home emergency, chances are emergency is going to happen to you at home, and chances of that emergency being a fire are like really, really high.
Yeah, and there's nothing that says you can't teach your 5-year-old how to light ants on fire with a magnifying glass at the same time that you teach them how to actually learn a survival skill. There's nothing that says you can't teach them how to play hide and seek extremely well at the same time that you're teaching them how to do a fire.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can teach kids how to start a fire in a safe environment. There's a safe way to do that. And like Scouts obviously does a great job of that. But yeah, in a house fire, dude, you have I like the transition from teach your kids how to start a fire to a house fire. But anyway, that wasn't planned at all. But
Cause and
yeah,
effect, cause and
cause
effect.
cause and effect. You taught the kid how to start a fire, but you have about 2 minutes to escape a house fire once it starts, and that is not a lot of time. So, yeah, if there's just no time to figure that out on the go. You want to know how to escape a home emergency quickly and you want to get the whole family out safely. And that's something you can easily teach the entire family how to do in a weekend. So, what's number 9?
So number 9 is temperature control, both heat and cold. Um, and this one obviously works best when it's either blazing hot summer or freezing cold winter. But
Sure.
exposure is one of the fastest killers. And we have talked about this several times on this podcast before. The National Weather Service notes that hypothermia can occur in temperatures as high as 50 degrees with moisture. If you live in Alaska, 50 degrees is a pleasant summer day. If you live in Oregon, 50 degrees is what, mid spring
Sure. Yeah.
in the afternoon?
Yeah.
And then if you live in Tennessee, 50 degrees is uh late winter, early spring at about 6 o'clock in the morning. And
Yeah.
then it's 90 by the time it's 8 a.m. So what you can do to kind of prepare for this is learn layering and insulation, especially for cold temperatures. And we've talked about this before as well. Cold. It's so simple that it's it's really, really easy to overlook, but uh learn your layering and insulation, and you can do that on Saturday, about 1 to 2 hours, and then Sunday, test your setup outdoors, for 15, 20 minutes at a time, come back inside. Are you sweating? Yes, something's wrong. Are you sweating? No, but I'm cold. Something is wrong. Okay, let's put on another base layer. Let's take this layer off. Let's go with these socks. Go back outside for 15, 20 minutes. Come back inside. Okay, now I'm going the other way. Let's figure this out. Figure out what temperature you need to be at so that you're not sweating, but you're also not freezing. And once you get that right, there's your perfect outdoor sledding to shoveling the sidewalk to having to rescue your neighbor from a saber-toothed tiger outfit.
Yeah, and people prepare for comfort, they don't prepare for survival. And there's all those things here, cotton kills, or what do you want on a base layer, and that makes the entire outfit. And there's a lot of truth to a lot of that stuff, but learning how to layer properly so you can remove layers when you need to, and you never find yourself in that, they call it like chasing cold or chasing hot. You don't want to be in that situation. You just want to be able to regulate, because yeah, you've had your layering put together. And who does a great job of that is Patagonia, man. They go into the science behind that stuff. Patagonia is one of those brands that they really go into the science behind those kinds of things. But yeah, you're right. People just, you don't think about that. Um, but in a survival situation, just simply choosing your base layer properly and choosing your other layers on top of that properly it really can mean the difference between life and death, which is crazy to think about.
And it's super, super easy. You don't even have to do it on a weekend. This is just the perfect timing for you. But if you wanna try this on a weeknight after work and just throw on all your cold weather gear because it's a cold snap, you can go try it. Nothing is stopping you for that 15 or 20 minutes just to see what works.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think my biggest thing with all of that is usually gloves. Gloves are the thing that are for some reason just kind of hard for me to chase. Finding a glove that's going to keep me warm enough and still give me like the tactile finger dexterity I need, or gloves that aren't going to get so warm that I'm sweating and creating little sweaty ice crystals inside of them. Gloves are what, man, the perfect glove is tough to find.
See, and my gloves, I think I found the perfect solution for mine. They are my hunting gloves because they have a mitten they're fingerless gloves, but they have a mitten that will fold over the top,
Yeah. Yep.
and I can pull my trigger finger out and just stick it over the top, squeeze the trigger, shove it back in,
Yep.
and everything is nice and toasty warm until I need to pull back the
Yeah.
mittens and gut something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So finding the right perfect glove is huge.
So, what do we got for number 10?
All right, this is the last one. Here we go. This is learning basic emergency communication. This is huge. Just you can learn this in a weekend, and man, information is survival.
Yeah, NOAA weather radios provide real time alerts, even with everything else around you kind of falling apart and failing.
Yeah, so this is something you can easily do this in a weekend. Depends on how advanced you really want to get here, but um, you know, on a Saturday, take some time, learn radio operation. I know we might poke fun at the ham radio guys on occasion, right? But let me tell you, there is no group in the world that is more willing to impart this knowledge on you than these guys, than the ham radio community.
Oh, yeah.
There's no one on planet Earth that wants to tell you about their thing more than ham radio people, except maybe vegans and cyclists. That maybe that's, but besides that, so anyway, YouTube videos galore. There are some great ham radio operation videos on YouTube, and go get certified. That's something you can do. You can set up and take that test in an hour or two, and you can actually get a ham license. And yeah, that is a great skill to have. But then also, then you take your Sunday and you build a simple communication plan. I think a lot of people, I mean myself included, I was in this group where you buy some radios and they say 5 miles on the outside and you go, "Okay, cool. Well, I know how far 5 miles from my house. They go this far." They don't go that far. I'm sorry to break it to you, but they test radios like in outer space covered in magic pixie communication dust or something. But radios, they don't go that far. They just
Mm,
don't.
right. It's the lab conditions, and nothing
It's
survives outside of lab conditions.
it's the laboratory conditions. So get those radios and actually practice that. Have your wife go the next neighborhood over and get on the radio and figure out when you lose communication. And you will find from your home, you will find that you lose comms one direction in a mile and in the other direction in 500 feet because there's a big, freeway barricade there. Or there's a giant skyscraper in between you or whatever. But you'll find out, you can kind of plot that out on your map and know, hey, with this radio, I know where I can get comms. And it's not a perfect circle around your house. So building that communications plan with whatever backup comms you're going to use, that's just it's so insanely important because so many people don't use those emergency radios until they need them.
They really don't. And the takeaway here is not about becoming an expert.
Yeah, it's just about becoming capable, knowing how the equipment you've purchased works.
And in 48 hours, you really can move from I think I'm prepared to actually having skills.
Yeah.
That's the really weird part about it is it's not that big of a time commitment and you make yourself harder to kill.
You do. You make yourself harder to kill by learning a valuable skill. So a lot of this stuff I think is in our back catalog, right? Pick one of these skills we talked about. A lot of these we've gone over with the exception of stuff like knots because you just can't do that not visually, right? That'd be really hard to do like to teach someone how to tie a knot
Yeah,
over
teaching
on a
somebody how to tie
podcast.
Prusik cuffs over audio only would be really,
It would
really
be pretty tough. But
somebody's gonna get hurt or tie
right.
themselves into a knot they can't get out of.
But YouTube is your friend on a lot of this stuff. So, if we don't have if we don't have an episode about it, then there's some great YouTube resources out there. And pick one, just one skill this weekend, and go learn it and become an expert in 48 hours.
Yeah, start there. Start somewhere. Pick a topic that interests you. Pick a topic that you are weak on. And maybe you know a little bit about it and you just want to get better. Maybe you know everything about it, but you just want a sanity check. Pick something. You've already started with us, which is a good start, right? We're
Yeah,
not
great place to start.
doomsayers. We're not, you know, all doom and gloom. We're not political or religious or anything like that. So you've picked a good place to start, but we are a stepping stone to what you could be. So keep that in mind and make yourself better, right?
Yep, let's do it. I like it. Shut it down.
Uh,
It's been a long one.
Yes, we have gone a little bit over, but come back next week when we start on an entirely new topic. We mentioned that at the beginning of the episode.
That's what we do.
ADHD squirrel.
Here it is.
But until then, remember, you are your own stakeholder. We will see you then.